Okay, hello everyone. My name is Greg Hemmer. I'm a member of the Shardus organization here. It is currently May 30th, 2020, and today we are presenting the first quarterly update of 2020 for Shardus. Usually we would like to host these events in person, but currently we have the pandemic going on, and so we're having to host this event virtually. We're excited to share the updates we've had in progress with our development with Shardus, and also with one of the first decentralized applications that are being built using the Shardus software, titled Liberdus. For those who haven't heard of Shardus before, please feel free to review prior presentations on our YouTube channel from all past quarterly events. But a brief description is Shardus is working to solve many of the challenges that modern blockchain networks face, primarily the scaling issue. A lot of blockchain networks currently have a lack of scalability and also high energy inefficiency costs. And so Shardus is focused on creating infrastructure anyone can use to build their own blockchain networks and applications that are linearly scalable and energy efficient, really easy for anyone to spin up their own network and have off-the-shelf laptops or even Raspberry Pis running full node, and be able to build your own decentralized applications that can support global adoption and infinite scalability. Today we have Omar Syed, who is going to present some of the updates we have made to the Shardus software itself. We also have Kyle Shiflett and Andrew Ferris, who are going to run through the Liberdus application, and Omar Syed, who will talk a little bit more about installing a node and adding it to the Shardus network. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to pass the call off to Omar Syed now. He's one of the co-founders of Shardus and has about 30 years of experience building distributed systems. Omar?
Thank you, Greg. Thanks everyone for joining. We're going to do a quick presentation here of what we've been doing over the quarter. So let me get started by sharing my desktop with you. Okay, so we've been doing these quarterly update events for quite a bit now, if you're familiar with Shardus, this is probably going to be a repeat. But I know there's a lot of people that are new and are not familiar with Shardus. So Shardus is building software for creating global scale decentralized networks. And basically what we're trying to achieve by doing this is to have virtually unlimited scaling, so that as you add more nodes to the network, the transaction throughput and the capacity of the network increases. We also want to maintain a high level of decentralization. That's critically important for decentralized networks, of course, where there's a tendency for the networks to become more and more centralized over time. And I think the way to combat that is to ensure that anyone can use very inexpensive hardware to be able to join the network. And it's very easy for anyone to join and leave the network. And that helps to ensure a high level of decentralization. And we're also trying to use very efficient consensus algorithms, as opposed to algorithms that are based on proof of work that are, very non-energy efficient. And finally, we also want to make our software so that it's really easy to build with and very easy to deploy. So we're building a lot of tooling around that as well. So a good way to depict what Shardus is that the Shardus software is the foundation. And from that, you can create a lot of different networks. You can create private networks, which can operate behind corporate walls, or you could create public networks that are, pretty much like public utilities available for anyone to use. And there's, a Shardus token that's involved for and used for licensing and so forth. I'm not going to go into that in this discussion, but I highly recommend watching one of our previous videos where we've discussed that in a lot more detail. So one of the first things that we're going to be building with the Shardus software is a network called Liberdus. And so Liberdus will have its own coin, and because it's built on Shardus, it'll also inherit a lot of the features of Shardus, such as fast transaction times, efficient, energy efficient network, scalable network, and so forth. And with Liberdus, one of the things that we're trying to do is make it so that it's very easy for people to be able to create an account and to be able to use friendly handles to be able to send their coins to another person. Also, we're incorporating messaging into it so that the system can also be used for sending messages between users. And it also has a built-in governance system where the users of the system will be able to vote on things like the network parameters and funding of proposals and so forth. And the nodes that make up this Liberdus network will actually be able to run those just using general purpose hardware. You won't need specialized ASICs or CPUs to do that. You should be able to run that software on a virtual private server or a Raspberry Pi. And you can go to liberdus.com to learn a lot more about it, and we'll also be demoing that for you here in a little bit. So the roadmap for what Shardus is doing, essentially, we've each quarter been giving a presentation, and we've already demonstrated our consensus algorithm, our distributed ledger, sharding in a static network, sharding in a dynamic network. And last quarter, we demonstrated the Liberdus server. We allowed people to try that out. And now this quarter, our goal has been to get a testnet up and running so that people can use that 24/7 and join nodes into that network, as well as just use that network as an end user to be able to send messages to your friends or move coins around. And originally we thought that might take us one quarter or maybe about 2 quarters to get the testnet wrapped up and we could move on to the mainnet. But as we've been developing and getting into making the testnet harder, we've come to realize that this is probably a lot more difficult than we originally anticipated. And partly it's because we're building brand new software. We're not using something that's already been built and has been hardened and tested. Everything that we're building is from the scratch. And so, of course, it's going to take more time to make sure that that software is hardened. So we're still trying to shoot for the end of this year to be able to launch the Liberdus mainnet. So what have we done this quarter? One of the big things that we've done is converted all our code base over to TypeScript. Originally, we were using JavaScript, and as our project got bigger, it became harder and harder to manage that project with just JavaScript. And now that we've converted it to TypeScript, it's helped us, manage the code a lot better, and there's a lot less errors that are happening. while we're writing the code. And another thing that we've done is we've completely rewritten our peer-to-peer module. And this is something that we actually had spent about 2 quarters to develop originally. But going back and looking at it, we saw that there was areas that we could improve it. And about the middle of this quarter, we jumped into trying to rewrite that, and we thought we might be able to get it done, but it turned out that it took us longer than we expected. And that also has kind of caused us to postpone our quarterly update event to a later time than we normally would have done it. We've also been adding the features to our archive server. So now it's recording cycles. There's more features that we still need to add to it, but at least we've got that going, and it's recording the cycles. We've now built a Docker image, and there's one for if you want to just use it on a VPS, and another Docker image for Raspberry Pis. So that's been one of the things that we wanted to get done this quarter, and we've been able to hit that goal. And also we've, along with that, built the software so that it would automatically traverse NATs. So that way it makes it very easy for somebody to be able to spin up like a Raspberry Pi from home and be able to join a Shardus network, but which in this case is actually Liberdus. Also, we've developed some software in order to administer the nodes. So it's really just a web UI that allows you to start, stop, and control the nodes. We're also, while we were developing the Liberdus network, we encountered scenarios where there were certain accounts that we needed to read quite a bit. And we refer to those accounts now as global accounts. And we added features to Shardus in order to make those accounts a lot more efficient and faster to read. And also we've been doing a lot of code hardening just in terms of, trying to knock out bugs, do more validation on the inputs, trying to make it better in terms of security and so forth. And we've done a pretty big rewrite of our documentation as well. You can find that at shardus.com/docs. And this documentation is really intended for anyone that wants to use the Shardus software to create their own network. So this is really developer documentation. And we've also added an API layer to our Uniswap DEX website. So now, other services that list coins and so forth can connect to Uniswap DEX and use our API to collect the data. And for those that aren't familiar with what Uniswap DEX is, it's basically a sort of a component in the decentralized finance space, which essentially lets people be able to swap tokens in a decentralized way. So some of the non-technical things that we've done this quarter is, we've been able to get Shardus listed on CoinMarketCap. They still don't have a lot of the trading data for it yet, and that's mostly because we're not listed on any centralized exchanges. We're only on the Uniswap decentralized exchange. But over time, I think CoinMarketCap will collect enough data to be able to start showing that. And we've also, as I mentioned, added the API to Uniswap DEX, and that's been picked up by CoinDesk. And hopefully there'll be other listing services that start using that. And we've also been in talks with Casper Labs. They're actually interested in is speeding up the rate at which they deploy sharding. So Casper Labs is building something similar to Ethereum, and they want to have sharding as part of a feature of their network. And so they've been talking to us about incorporating Shardus as a way to speed up their sharding. And we've also been invited to present at the Algorithms Conference that's going to be happening in February 2021. So I'm pretty excited about presenting Shardus there. So our plan for the next quarter is basically with Liberdus, we're going to continue hardening that testnet, keeping that testnet going 24/7 so that nodes can join it, so that people can use it to move coins and send messages. We're also going to be experimenting with the network parameters as well as the economic parameters. And that's something where, the community can really get involved with. And you can do that by, joining our social media channels. If you go to liberdus.com, you'll find the links there. And so you can join and participate that way. And there's quite a bit of work also to be done on the Shardus Global server. As I mentioned, there's still several features that we need to add to the archive server. And there's a lot of code robustness that we can incorporate in terms of, just finding more bugs and fixing them, as well as more validation and security checking. So we're going to give you a quick demonstration of the Liberdus testnet, as well as how to run a node on your, like a Raspberry Pi or something that you might have at home, and connect to the network. So first we'll have Kyle and Andrew demonstrate the Liberdus testnet, and then Aamir will be demonstrating connecting a node to that testnet. So I'll turn it over to Aamir now, or I'm sorry, I'll turn it over to Kyle and Andrew.
Sweet. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, awesome. I'm going to share my screen and kind of take you guys through what a user would, how the user would navigate around the app. So share my screen now.
So just wanted to mention that if you want to try this, you can just open a web browser, go to test.liberdus.com.
All right, so I'm going to take you through user journey through this app. So this is the main page we got here. You can sign in or create an account using this link right here. So I've already created an account on my phone, but I'm just going to show you that like the username's already taken, so I can go back. We have another way of signing in, which is importing an account. And I can use this little QR code scanner and then go to my phone. Because I'm logged in on my phone, I can export my account there, and it should grab it. Focuses. There we go. All right, import account. Now I'm able to use this Kyle account. So the first thing we want to do is register our email. So I'm going to email here, register, and I'm going to check my phone again for the verification code when that comes in. And I'm doing this so that I'm able to get some starting tokens so I can interact with the network. I'm going to check my verification code, and once it's verified, we'll get 10 tokens, I believe, to start out. And then Andrew is going to be creating an account as well, and I'm going to be sending him tokens. So let's see. All right, showing me that that is an account, and I can just use Andrew, the handle Andrew, because I don't have to enter a long hex address. So I'm going to send him 1 token. It should show up here momentarily. Go through. There we go. Send Andrew 1 token, and then that 0.001 is the transaction fee. So you can send and receive tokens. You know, I can share my QR code with Andrew, or he could just send me tokens to Kyle.
I got the tokens. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we also have this messaging feature where I can send Andrew messages. These are encrypted, so no one will be able to see what we're saying to each other. So these messages will actually exist on, you know, the network itself, but they'll be encrypted, so everyone will be able to see just the gibberish encryption, but the messages. So hopefully that went through. Andrew got that. Messaging also has a toll feature. So if I wanted to add a toll, I would go to these settings over here and then enter whatever toll amount I want. So if I enter 2, Andrew's going to have to pay me 2 tokens to send me a message. So it's kind of like a celebrity feature. You want to receive messages, you can, you know, have that toll there and get money for it. So, oh, I just got 2 coins right there. I guess Andrew probably sent me a message. Check that out. Oh, there it is. So, yeah, I just got money for receiving a message because I have a toll there. But if I add Andrew as a friend here, add him as a friend, and then hopefully the next time Andrew sends me a message, he won't have to pay me 2 tokens. It'll just be a friendly conversation. Oh, like I got, not yet. Oh, there we go. Friend. So yeah, I didn't get 2 tokens this time because he's a friend, but I can always remove him. You know? I decide, you know what? I don't really like Andrew anymore. Bam. Now he has to send me the toll all over again. So that's kind of how messaging works in Liberdus. And then we're not going to demo the funding and economy proposals right now, but I'm just going to explain what they are. So the funding proposals are basically like proposals to fund spin-off projects using Liberdus or add features to Liberdus, or basically, you know, just helping out the project in any way. You can submit proposals and say what you're doing, say what you're going to contribute, enter the amount of tokens you want to be paid, and whether you want a single payment or spread out, you know, like 5 payments. And if you maybe want, I don't know, every couple days, like whatever the calculation is in minutes for days. So you can delay it or you can just have it all at once. But that's kind of how the funding proposals work. And then the economy proposals are to change the network values of Liberdus and how it operates. So there are a lot of things here. There's the funding proposal fee, which is a deflationary fee that gets taken out of circulation every time someone makes one of these funding proposals. There's this network proposal fee, which is the fee to submit this change proposal. So if you want to change the network parameters, currently we have to pay 50 tokens. Maintenance fee is a feature that it's kind of another deflationary mechanic. It's a fee that gets taken out based on some interval from every account. so it keeps the deflationary aspect kind of going. But this is votable on. People can change this. It doesn't have to be a fee. It can be set to 0. Node penalty is a penalty for a node that misbehaves in the network. So if you're running a node and you're trying to do some shady stuff, like this is a fee that people can vote on, and that'll be deducted from a node account if they're misbehaving. The node reward amount is the amount of tokens you get for running a node for this node reward interval amount of time. And I believe this is seconds. Stake required is the amount of coins you got to stake to be able to receive rewards from running a node. So you have to stake 5 tokens to receive rewards from your node. Transaction fee is self-explanatory. It's the fee you pay on transactions that you submit. Faucet amount is the amount of tokens you'll get when you validate your email. So for this testnet, every time when you want starting tokens, you've got to validate that email. And this is going to be the amount you receive. And default toll is just the default toll for messages. So starting out, if you don't put a toll, you don't do anything with that, the default is going to be 1. And obviously, once again, all these are going to be changeable. Like I can submit a proposal that says, oh, you know what? I want the stake to be 10 instead of 5, and change stake to 10. Whatever you want to do. I'm not going to be able to submit one right now because I only have 10 tokens, and the requirement is 50 to submit this proposal. But that's kind of just a little glimpse of how this dynamic economy works. Yeah, that's about it. So once again, like you can export your account, all that good stuff. Obviously, don't show your secret key, but this is not the real thing, so I don't really mind. But yeah, that is a demo of Liberdus. So, Andrew, anything else you want to add, or did I pretty much cover it?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's really cool to have these abilities for the community users to decide the future of the token, because we're in such early stages of all these technology revolutions. It's good to also think about a technology that is going to stick around for a long time and have some mechanisms in place to help it evolve.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. So our next, we'll just have Aamir give a quick demo of how you would bring up a node and have it join the Liberdus network.
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to be demoing how to start up a node on a regular computer and have it join the Liberdus network. And then also, if that works okay, going to demo how to do that from a Raspberry Pi. So let me go ahead and share my screen. As you can see here, we have a network that's up and running with about 11 nodes. It's already gone through about 1,273 cycles. What I'm going to do now is start a network or start a node on my computer and have it join this network. So to download the node, go to .com and go to the download link on Liberdus.com. And once you're here, follow these instructions to run a Liberdus Validator Docker instance. So the first thing you'd want to do is install the Docker engine for your platform. Instructions are here. I already have it installed on my computer. Yep, and Docker is running. And then the next thing I want to do once Docker is installed is create a directory for the Liberdus node to use to store its data in, kind of like as its base directory. So I may already have one. Let me just check. All right, so let me delete the one that I have already so I can pull this one. All right, and I'll go ahead and create it. All right, then the next thing I want to do is pull and run the Liberdus Validator Docker image. So this command here, if you copy and paste this and run it, what it will do is download the Docker image from this site here, the GitLab repository that we have, and then set it up to use your computer's networking interface. Passes in the path to wherever I had made that directory before, to the Liberdus image that's about to run, and then go ahead and run it as a daemon in the background. So as you can see, it's downloaded and it started running. So if you want to make sure that's running, you do docker ps, and we can see registry.gitlab.com Liberdus Validator, and it was created 13 seconds ago, and it is up and running. So now the next thing I want to do is tell it to connect to this network that we have over here. And to do that, this Docker instance provides a very easy to use admin interface. So whatever IP address that I'm running on right here, so localhost for me, I can navigate to port 999 on that IP address in a browser, and I will get a administrator dashboard. So this is the Docker Validator node administrator dashboard. It lets you set configuration settings for your node, and this is where you would tell it which network to connect to, because this network here is running at this IP address. I will go ahead and copy that IP address and put it into the settings. All right. You also probably want to change your administrator password. By default, it is admin in Liberdus, but once you log in, you would want to change that to something else. You can do that by clicking this link. Now that I'm about to start a Liberdus node, I want to be able to get the reward for running the node. In order to do that, what you got to do is provide a reward address, and you can get that by going to test.liberdus.com, signing in with an account. I've already done this from before, but you just got to make sure that it's registered. You click this link here, register email. And then once you're good to go there, you go to receive, and you can copy your own address here and paste that into the reward address that it should use. All right, so now I'm going to show logs to just make sure that when I start the node, it actually runs. I put in the right settings for the network that I want to connect to. This IP address is both is an archiver IP and in monitor reporting endpoint. And now when I go ahead and hit start node, it should start the node. And let's see here. Yeah, external server running on port, internal server running on port. So these ports, they're automatically forwarded because I'm behind a home network right now. And one of the things that we did this quarter was add the ability to auto forward ports, so you don't have to go into your router's like port forwarding settings and do anything. It's already, as long as your router supports the UPnP protocol, it's good to go. So now if I go back to the network monitor, you can see my node joining into the network that's running on my computer. And in a couple minutes, this should get started. I should become active and start making cycles and contributing to validating transactions just like everyone else. And then once the time comes for it to get a reward transaction, my balance here should increase once I get the reward, because I inputted that in as the reward address over here. So this is just a live stream of the logs coming from the server. It's going to be showing a bunch of transactions coming through. Occasionally you might see this like error, like failed to read bytes from stream buffer and a message buffer, but that it's okay. It's just something at the really low level with one of the network libraries we're using, but it doesn't affect the actual performance of the node. Yeah, I think there we go. So it's moved from joining to syncing. It's now syncing with the rest of the network. You can see over here, it's probably going to be getting a bunch of messages and catching up on transactions. So once it syncs, it should go green, and then it should start making cycles and participating with everyone else. Let's see here. So if you run into any issues with the running a validator node, always feel free to contact us on Discord. We have a Shardus general Discord over here where you guys can, ask for help or let us know if there's any issues or anything like that. We'll share the link with this after the live stream. And let's see here. There we go. It's starting to go active. Let me refresh my page. And yeah, that is my node with my IP address, and it's part of the network. It's on the right cycle, as you can see by the purple dot, and it's going to start processing transactions with everybody. Okay, so when you stop a node, the network actually takes care of detecting that it's been stopped and removing it correctly. So now that this node has joined the network, I don't think I'm going to stop it right now. I'll just keep it running. But yeah, that's following the steps on this page. So taking it from the top, if you go to Liberdus.com, click the download link, follow the instructions on the page that takes you to. Basically install the Docker engine, create a directory for the node to use, and then run this command to start the Docker image. And then you go to localhost :9999 to get to the admin dashboard. Be sure to change your admin password, and then get the IP address of the network that you want to join, which in our case is this thing right here. Go ahead and input that into the archiver IP, and then to the monitor reporting endpoint, replace this would have been localhost, replace that with the IP address. And then go to test.liberdus.com, create an account, make sure to register your email address, and then get your address by clicking the receive button and copying this address right here and pasting that over into the reward address field so that you can get the reward that your node is given for participating in the network. All right, cool. So that's how it works. This process is the same for the Raspberry Pi as well. Let me see if I can get that going through the live stream. I started up my Raspberry Pi, and one moment. All right. You can see over here, I have a little setup going with the Raspberry Pi and it hooked up to the computer. So I'm going to share the screen on the Raspberry Pi and do the same steps to try to see if I can get a node to connect to the network there. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Liberdus.com. I've just installed Raspbian and haven't installed any other software on here except for the Docker engine. So we'll go to Liberdus.com and go to the download link. And this takes us to the Validator Docker GitLab page for the Liberdus Validator node. And we want to follow these instructions here. So the first thing it tells us to do is to create an account on test.liberdus.com. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is in order for us to get a node reward. We're going to need a piece of information from there when we start up our Liberdus instance on the Raspberry Pi. So go ahead and hit sign in or create, pick a username, go with my name, create account. Okay, great. And now that I'm in, I need to register my account, an email address with my account in order to receive rewards. So put an email address here. Go ahead and register it. Should be getting an email shortly with the verification code. I'll input the verification code I got in the email. Looks like it was approved. Great, so now my account is verified. And the information I need from this page is my address, which is available in the receive. And this is my address. All right, go ahead and copy that. All right, now, after you create an account on test.liberdus.com, you want to install Docker Engine for your platform. For the Raspberry Pi, this consists of going to the Docker install page, clicking Raspbian for the platform, and then they have a bullet point here that says the only way to install Docker on Raspbian is with the convenience script, so go ahead and run those. It does involve running a downloaded script as root, so make sure to check it out and verify it before you actually run it, or anything in that case as root. But I've already done that on this Raspberry Pi, and I have Docker Engine installed. Let me just make sure that it's running. And it takes a little bit of time to respond to input here because it's a little bit less powerful than a normal computer. We'll do Docker ps-a, and I have to remember to put sudo in front of that. All right, cool. I have Docker running. So once I got installed, let's go ahead and make a directory for Liberdus to use as its base directory, where it'll store all of its data and other things that it needs to run. Alright, so I created that directory, and now you come down to here where we pull and run the Liberdus Validator node Docker image. So this command here will pull the Docker image from the repository on this GitLab page, and then set it up and run it with the right configuration. We'll set its name to Liberdus, sets your user ID. This passes the host's network interface to the Docker container so it can expose the ports that it needs to communicate. And the only difference between Linux and Raspbian, the commands for those two, is that the Raspbian command is pulling the Raspberry Pi tag of the Docker image instead of just a normal image that the Linux command pulls. So I will go ahead and pull that now. Alright, so it didn't take very long to run for me because I've already pulled that image from before, as you can see here. Oops, got the sudo there. But it's about a gigabyte in size, and that can take a little bit of time to unpack and pull onto a Raspberry Pi. Just as a forewarning, it'll take about, I think, 20 to 25 minutes. Or anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. So once you run this command, it'll automatically pull that if you don't have it, and then it'll go ahead and start up that image. So let's just make sure that's running. Docker ps-a, and I gotta put sudo in front of there. And there it is. It's been up for about 48 seconds now. Cool. So now that we have the Liberdus instance running on this Raspberry Pi, over here. we need to configure it to connect to the network that we have going on already. And let me see if I can set 3 dot. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to load, and there it is. There's a network that's already running that I want my Raspberry Pi to join. So I will take the network's IP address and go to the admin dashboard of the node, which is located at localhost :9999. And the first thing you want to do always is change the admin password, but this page basically lets you control the configuration for the node that you're about to run. So what I'm going to do is take the IP address of the network that we already have running and paste that into configuration for this network, which I've already done before. So let me just do it again for completeness. I want to paste into the archiver IP field. And into the monitor reporting endpoint field. And in the monitor reporting endpoint field, I only want to replace the localhost part of the URL and keep the rest of it the same. And get rid of some of those extra things to put in there. Alright, it looks about good. Now, remember the test.liberdus.com account we made from before? I'm going to want to go to the receive, click the receive button from the main page, copy this address here, and put that into the admin dashboard of the node I'm about to run, where it says reward address. And what this will allow is the network to give my Liberdus instance reward. Like it tells it which account to put the reward for running Liberdus node into. And so after I've been running the node for about an hour or so, I should see about 1 token come up in my balance here. Alright, so now that everything is configured, let's take a look at the logs of the node. Yeah, it's coming through, and start it. And this might take a little bit to respond. There it goes. And there it is, telling you a little bit about the CPU usage and the RAM usage of this node. And a little bit, we should see a message here telling us that it is running on 2 specific ports that it has forwarded. And we should see it pop up in the network monitor. Yep, there it is. There's a message. It's running on external server on port 3363 and internal server on port 40,995. And if we go to the network monitor, there it is. Wow. Okay, so now that it's there, it'll first it needs to join the network. That's when it's gray, and then once it's joined the network, it becomes yellow. In which part it starts the syncing phase. Once it's synced up to everyone else in the network, it goes green, and then it's ready to go. And we'll see messages for that in this log output on the admin dashboard. Like I mentioned earlier, you might see a stream buffer error. You can safely ignore that. It doesn't affect the node's performance for now. But in a little bit, we should start seeing it process transactions and logging that information. There it goes. Yep, there's the transactions. Cool. It's probably syncing now. Go check it out. Yep. There it goes. It's syncing. It's turned yellow. And when it says server ready, it should be ready to process transactions, and it'll go green on the network monitor. Let's wait for that point. Might take a little bit more time than usual to sync up to the network, just because the Raspberry Pi isn't as powerful as normal computer. But eventually it'll come through. It shouldn't take too much longer, because the network state is actually sharded, and it doesn't have to catch up on the entirety. There it goes, I think. Sync data, start catch up, queue. Okay, it's starting to catch up on transactions that were going on while it was syncing. Once this is done, it should go active. Alright, it seems to have gone active. Yeah, there it is. So over here, our port is 33063, and we can confirm that that is this node by going to the very top of the logs. 33063. Yep. Is now in the network and making cycles with everybody else and should participate in validating transactions. So those are the steps to run a Liberdus validator on Raspberry Pi. If you have any trouble with them or run into any problems with them, feel free to contact us on the Discord channel. We'll help you as soon as we can. Yeah, so that about completes it.
All right, thanks, Aamir. And so with that, the next phase would have been to take questions and answers, but since we're not doing a live session here, I think wrap it up. Greg, maybe you could kind of give some last words on actions that users watching the video can take and so forth.
Before we wrap up here, Omar, were there any questions we received via email or just from anyone else in general that you would like to answer?
Actually, I did. I got some emails, but a lot of them were just telling me that the voice is not coming through, and after that, I didn't get any questions. So.
Okay, got it. Well, for everyone who has watched this video thus far, thank you so much for your time. We're really excited about how far Shardus has come and what's happening next. If you're not the most technical person in the world and you're trying to understand why we're so excited about this whole distributed ledger technology thing and Shardus itself, most people don't really care about a computer database, but everything that you are doing online is running on a computer database currently that is most likely owned by a central corporation. And so what Shardus is doing here is going to change the whole way that almost everything online and digitally works today. Now, we can't foresee what this is going to do for the world in 15 or 20 years out from now, but the possibilities that are there when you are disrupting and decentralized, huge, massive centralized corporations are pretty mind-blowing. I really like to think about like Uber today, when there's no Uber and cars can drive themselves and you can go on an app that is not owned by any corporation. It's just a public utility running on something like a Shardus network where you can call in a self-driving car and pay for that car and reward the different cars and pay between each other with a blockchain token. It's really exciting to think about these possibilities. And so, we invite anyone who wants to be involved to get involved with Shardus. You can go to our website, shardus.com, where you can read about the white paper and look through our roadmap, learn about what's coming next. In the description of this video, we'll include the link to our Discord channel. Feel free to please come on at any time, ask us any questions, get involved. We're not a private corporation here. We're a team and an association of developers and like-minded individuals all working towards a common goal of building the best distributed ledger technology possible from the ground up. So please get involved. Please tell your friends, your family, and if you're excited about what we're building, we invite you to come here and join us. Thank you all so much for your time today. Great work to everyone here on the Shardus team, and we will see you guys in quarter two or in quarter three for a recap on what we've done next in quarter two. We'll talk to you all then. Stay safe, and hopefully by then this pandemic will be done, and we invite you to come and join us at our next quarterly event in person if we are able to host it live and in person at that time. Thank you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.